Her calendar invited me by mistake. I fix bicycles for a living and schedules for the rest of it. Chains obey torque. Calendars pretend to. People improvise. On a Monday that smelled like rain and solvent, my phone buzzed while I was truing a wheel. An event pinged onto my screen with the polite confidence of a stranger who knows your name. Strategy sprint after hours. Organizer, Nora Green. Location, Loft 19, Wakefield Street. That's my wife. That's a studio I know only because she talks about its windows the way some people talk about scripture. The invite had 6 guests. I was one of them by accident or algorithm. In the notes, bring mock-ups, open minds, maybe a bottle wine glass. The wine emoji did a small, unnecessary dance. I didn't accept. I didn't decline. I let it hover, the way you leave a bike you might ride later leaning against a familiar wall. Nora texted at 5, don't wait up. Sprint will run late. Love you. I texted back a photo of the wheel I just coaxed into behaving, silver, obedient, a circle that knew its job. Same. I have a small shop on the corner next to a florist who believes in honest flowers and a locksmith who believes in complicated stories. On nights when the shop is quiet, I deliver repaired bikes to people who pay extra to have the feeling of wheels returning home. That night I rode 3 deliveries and let the city be a chorus. At 10:41 the calendar app flashed again. Loft 19, door pin 314. Someone had forwarded a building code to all attendees, which still technically included me. I put the phone in my pocket like a stone I didn't know how to skip. Nora came in after midnight, hair up, eyes bright in the way of people who have been told their ideas are oxygen. She smelled like printer paper and basil. I kissed her cheek and waited for the kiss to echo back. How was the sprint? I asked. Good, she said, moving through the kitchen like she was still in a room where everything on wheels. Eli brought lights. We turned the wall into a mood board. Eli, creative director, knew you'd like him. He makes metaphors without making them sticky. She pulled a container of leftovers from the fridge and ate cold pasta, standing, smiling at nothing and everything. We booked Loft 19 again next Thursday for a second pass. I know, I said, and she paused, fork midair. I showed her the invite. She half laughed, half apologized. Autocomplete, she said. I was typing Eli and it grabbed you too. I should have checked. I'm not offended, I said, which was true. Offense was the wrong word. I'm just included by accident. She put the pasta down, came close, linked her fingers behind my neck the way you close a loop on a good day. Include you on purpose, she said. Friday, pizza, my treat. You can tell me why today's wheel looks smug. We did, and it helped. Not because pizza has mystical properties, it does, but they're limited, but because telling the truth in a room with good light forgives a lot of human error. Still, the next week the second invite arrived. Loft 19, round 2. Door pin again, emoji again. This time I accepted, then set the status to maybe because adulthood is a series of maybes we try to keep from wobbling. I told myself I wasn't going. I told myself I could be the kind of person who trusts a room he isn't in. I lasted until 9:15, when the florist next door killed her lights and the locksmith locked himself into his own store, which he swears is a safety strategy. I poured coffee into a thermos, wrote for the sprint on a bag of almond cookies, and pedaled toward Wakefield. Loft 19 is on the 3rd floor of a brick building that believes windows are propaganda. Through the glass you can watch the city remember what it's for. I heard music before I saw anyone, something with a beat confident enough to get promoted. The pin worked. The door opened on a room full of color and tape, and people doing their best version of believing in the same thing at the same time. Nora had her back to me, the curve of her neck familiar in every light. Eli stood too close to a wall and too far from good sense, holding a sketch and frowning at it like it had failed a class. I walked in as a man with coffee, not a husband with a hypothesis. Nora, I said, and she turned. Surprise moved across her face, then something like relief. Brought caffeine and sugar, I said, my only superpowers. Bless you, Eli said, which I disliked and forgave in a single motion. He had the look of a person who has never not been captain of something. He took the cookies and distributed them like communion. Who's the hero? This is Daniel, Nora said. My better half. He makes circles behave. Bicycles? He asked. I once tried to fix a chain with a butter knife. I can't legally accept that story, I said, and everyone laughed enough to make it mean something less than threat, more than icebreaker. For an hour I watched them work. It wasn't the romantic chaos I feared or hoped for. It was stubborn, ordinary magic, idea, argument, revision, 3 pencils dying for a cause. When a projector misbehaved, I coaxed it into cooperation. When the tape rebelled, I taped the tape. Nora moved between stations like an interpreter who speaks both vision and invoice. She was good at it. It is not always easy to love someone good at something you can't touch. At 10:40, Eli clapped like a coach who knows how to end a practice before someone twists an ankle. We've got it, he said. No afters. Go home and don't make anything better until morning. He looked at Nora, then past her, then at me in that order. Thanks, Daniel. We rode the elevator down. In the street, Nora took my hand and made a small, relieved sound I wanted to bottle. Thank you for coming, she said, and for not arriving with theories. I arrived with coffee, I said. It disguises most theories. We walked the 4 blocks home without deciding whether we just solved something or given it better furniture. At the shop the next morning, I wrote 3 lines on the chalkboard behind the register because chalk turns air into sentences. 1. If it matters, put names on it. Not the team, not the room. Names. 2. No private afters. Work ends when the song does. 3. If the floor tilts, say tilt. We adjust together. Nora came by at noon, saw the board, kissed me like punctuation, and added a 4th line without asking. 4. Invite each other before the calendar tries to. I left it there, chalk brave, until rain finds it. We did well for a while. She sent me photos from windows I didn't need to stand in. I sent her the sound of a Freehub singing because I wanted her to remember that velocity is a kind of prayer. At night, we lay in the slipstream of our days and let the river of them drag the worst parts away. Then the Harbor in Invite happened. Asterisk weekend offsite, Mercer Creative. A room block at the Old Inn by the ferry, the kind of place that believes the word lounge should be printed in cursive. The subject line was a trap door. Partners welcome for Sunday brunch. I couldn't tell if partners meant work or love, which I am learning is the disease of modern invitations. I didn't get one. I got a screenshot from a junior copywriter I had once fixed a flat for. Thought you should see, the text said, and then, as if he knew how the world works, delete after. I called Nora. Are partners welcome? I asked, my voice a little too well balanced. Yes, she said. For Sunday, brunch, not for Saturday workshop. I was going to ask you to come Sunday. I wanted Saturday to be clean. Clean, I repeated because I'm a man and we repeat nouns when we don't trust them. Is Eli there? She took a breath that tried to be smaller than air would allow. He will be. It's not a secret, Daniel. No, I said. Secrets smell different. I booked a room with a view of the ferry dock. I took a bag I didn't need. I brought the chalkboard rules on a piece of paper, folded into a square as if origami could intimidate a weekend. Saturday night, I walked the boardwalk while the workshop room on the 2nd floor kept its own weather. I didn't check her location.